Hello, hello, hello! Welcome back to Alice Talks Football. Welcome back to another live show. We've got confirmation of another bid coming in for Scott McTominay. We've got updates that PSG will accept a loan deal for Ugarte. Some big movement expected on that. And with the Ugarte loan deal being accepted, that could save Man United funds to press ahead with that emergency De Ligt signing. We're talking about emergency signings. United could still be in for Lenny Euro. Wan-Bissaka agreement close, some advancements on Toney and De Ligt. Ashworth has this new big plan that's really exciting. There's some updates on Dani Olmo, Amad Diallo, Harry Amas, and more. So we're going to get into all of this in today's live show. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. And you may see something that is pinned in the chat, which is a link. And that is a link to a form to vote Alice Talks Football for the 2024 Football Content Awards, or nominate me. I came second a few years back, and I'm eligible for the Best Content Creator Award, the Best Influencer Award, and the Best Club Content Creator Premier League Award for the 2024 FCA. So at the end of the live stream or now, please do click the link and vote me in that form. Would be really appreciated. There's also a link in the description for people watching on replay. But I do want to get into the news. I do want to get into the stories. I want to start with the McTominay news updates and more as well, because we do have some positive news coming in as well. There's a lot of mixed news coming in on Euro. One source says 6 weeks, one source says 2 months, one source says 3 months, one source says 6 to 8 weeks, one source is saying 4 weeks. There's a lot of mixed news coming in on Lenny Euro. We're just saying what's being reported, but it's looking at 2 months from the more reliable sources, if I'm going to be honest as well. Nothing fake about the news, unfortunately, right now. Been in the same situation a couple of weeks with mostly a number of agreements waiting on sales to make them official, which is true. A couple of people saying, fake news going about, and the news isn't fake. We have an agreement with Ugarte, De Ligt, Branthwaite, and match value on personal terms. There's just 1 or 2 things holding it up. And in my show, I make a big point to, on these slides, show you all the stories on my slides and where they've come from. This has come from Mono, this has come from Lucas, this has come from The Mirror, this has come from Lequit, this has come from James Ducker, this has come from Graham Bailey. I always make a big effort to show you exactly what the news is and where I've got it from. I don't make up news, I just report what other people have said. So none of the news is fake unless the journalist saying the news is fake. It's just that movement is slow. So when people comment fake news, I make a massive point of letting you know where the news has come through with these slides. So, it's news coming from people, but sometimes, we have to wait. We have to be patient, and that can be frustrating. But I want to dive into the news. I want to dive into the stories as well, because there is a lot of interesting stuff coming out. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. And of course, vote Alice in the Football Content Awards. It'd be great. The update on Højlund is 4 to 6 weeks. So nothing major, although one source did say 1 to 2 weeks as well. Fabrizio said apparently 3 months and 6 weeks. I think that came from Rob Dawson, but if Fabrizio said it, it's probably accurate. Right, shall we get into the news on McTominay? Then we'll get into news on Ugarte, then we're going to get into some news on De Ligt, and then we're going to get into some interesting stories on Amad Diallo as well. So, let's have a look at all these news and all these stories. It was said Fulham's new bid worth in excess of 20 million for Scott McTominay is expected to be rejected. Manchester United would be open to selling McTominay for a fee close to £30 million. Fabrizio Romano had said that Fulham had made a bid just over 20 million for McTominay. It's been rejected. Fulham have submitted a third 23 million bid for Scott McTominay. Manchester United want £30 million. I think worst comes to worst, they'd probably accept 25 million with 5 million in add-ons to take it to £30 million. Now, interestingly, Fulham have just paid 35 million for Smith Rowe, so I think Manchester United are quite confident, even though he's got 1 year left on his deal, that they could probably get around 30 million for Scott McTominay. I think United are quite confident they could probably get the money that they want for Scott McTominay. Now, there's an expectation that Fulham will hit around the 30 million mark. They're just testing the waters, a bit like we did with the Branthwaite bid. I think their next bid will be 25 million, and then I think they'll make a bid of like 26 million with 4 million add-ons to get to the 30 million mark. With McTominay's wages being quite low, I think it's easier. With hearing that West Ham want to do a 10 million deal for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and I think the fact that West Ham want to do a 10 million deal Aaron Wan-Bissaka is embarrassing. It's a little bit of a joke because Aaron Wan-Bissaka is worth a lot more than £10 million. But there's obviously talks of West Ham wanting to do a 10 million deal for Wan-Bissaka, which I just think is silly. I just think it isn't embarrassing. And that's saying, oh, but it's to compromise for his wages. We can only do a 10 million deal for Wan-Bissaka because it's to compromise for his wages. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not to compromise for his wages. You're just mugging us off because it's Man United and you think, you know what, this is Man United, we can get them on the cheap. And I've had enough of that attitude. Oh, it's Man United, let's see if we can get them on the cheap. Fulham, of course, will be putting in 2023. The next bid will be 20. I think they'll put in a £25 million bid in the next 48 hours, to be honest. And I just think, to be honest, £25 million with some add-ons, I think a deal will be done for McTominay as well. Scott just needs to go and get one of our pending signings done. I agree. I like Scott McTominay as a person, as a character, as a squad player. I think that you can never fault his mentality. He's one of the few Man United players that I know has never caused an issue in that dressing room. He gives 100%. He plays for the badge. And when he comes off the bench, he can score. And he saved us in big moments. And he'll put in a shift. And in that FA Cup final against Manchester City, he put in a shift. But you know that if Scott McTominay is in your starting 11, he does not improve it. He does not. We do not have the team to facilitate a player like Scott McTominay, who is a good player if used in the right role, but he has his limitations. We don't have those capabilities, and we are Manchester United. Scott McTominay is a great player to have off the bench, but if you can sell Scott McTominay for £30 million and invest that in a player that is good enough to start and would improve the team if they start, McTominay only improves when he comes off the bench for 20 minutes. That's what we need to do. McTominay's 27 years of age. He's had many chances. If he wasn't an academy player, he probably would have been sold 2 years ago, let's be totally honest. And he's not good enough to start, because when we start him, there's limitations there. He's not good enough. So 100%. It's just about getting McTominay out, getting some funds from him. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Look, I think if McTominay had 3 years left on his deal, we could probably get around 35 to 40 million for him. I think if McTominay generally had 3 years left on his deal, we could get a nice amount of money for him. But he doesn't. I think another day is a £40 million player with Elliot Anderson going for 35 million, but he's got 1 year left on his deal. It is Man United tax because the Glazers have undersold for so long that it just makes it a lot more difficult to Ineos to recoup them the money they want. I think a 30 million deal for McTominay will be done with Fulham, and I do expect McTominay to leave Manchester United. Guys, please do hit that like button and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news as well. 27 million max. I think McTominay will go for 25 million plus add-ons. I think it's going to be something around that as well. Ugarte is needed badly, and it's very strongly believed that we will get Ugarte coming in as well. Wan-Bissaka combining with Kudus would be bad. I don't think it will be. I think Wan-Bissaka is not an attacking fullback, but I do think Wan-Bissaka's attacking play is actually a lot better than he normally gets credit for as well. Scott scored a number of goals last term. Fulham just pay the money already. Exactly. Just take a bid, but plus add-ons, stop wasting time. The new season is around the corner. Yeah, you know what? Fulham, just make the move. Just pay the money. You know what we want. You know that we're willing to keep him and extend his contract. So just pay the money. You want the guy. You pay 35 million for Smith Rowe. We want 30 million for McTominay. He's got a better fitness record and all of that. Bish, bash, bosh. Guys, we're on 130 likes, and the goal is to hit 200 likes. Let's get to 200 likes. The goal is to hit 400 likes by the end of the live stream. So please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more as we dive into the next story. So it has been said that PSG are now willing to accept a paid loan deal for Manuel Ugarte with a high option to buy included. PSG will accept a loan deal from Man United for Ugarte, according to Sport Witness, and Galatasaray and Fenerbahce are also interested in McTominay, but I don't think Galatasaray and Fenerbahce are going to be able to pay the price tag wanted for McTominay. So L'Équipe, a very reliable French outlet, has confirmed that PSG are willing to accept a paid loan deal for Manuel Ugarte with a high option to buy included, and PSG will accept a loan deal from Man United for Ugarte. So you might be wondering right now, okay, that's cool, that's great, that's positive news. But Alice, when is that offer coming in for Ugarte? When are Man United going to go out there and make that loan offer for Ugarte? Well, the United Muppeteers gave an update and they said that in the next week, Manchester United are expected to press ahead and make a loan offer for Ugarte. We've also got other reliable sources from the Telegraph saying that Manchester United will make a loan offer for Manuel Ugarte in the next week. PSG will accept an offer if the fee or the obligation to buy fits them, and it's very likely that Man United and PSG will agree a loan deal for Manuel Ugarte. Now, the really good news about this is we're now getting confirmation from multiple sources that PSG are willing to agree a loan deal with us, they're willing to accept a loan deal with us, and that Manchester United are preparing that offer, and that, Manuel Ugarte's turned down other clubs to United, he's pushing for the move, PSG want to sell him. It's really exciting because this is good, because right now we know with the injury crisis going on, we need a few more signings. But until we sell, we can't sign. But if we get Manuel Ugarte in on loan and we can buy him next season, and that would give us the funds to get De Ligt in, give us that extra leeway just to get the De Ligt deal over the line. Now, interestingly, I've got an interesting update on De Ligt and an interesting story, but as said yesterday by Florian Plettenberg and Fabrizio Romano, which are two of the best sources of information in the De Ligt deal, Florian Plettenberg is the guy for Bayern Munich news. Now, they said that De Ligt actually in recent days got offers from other clubs. De Ligt had spoke to and he had got offers from other football clubs in recent days. Now, interestingly, the situation in the case with that is while De Ligt had spoken to and got offers from other football clubs in recent days, he's turned that down because he's set on United, he's focused on United. Do you remember Amrabat last year? And I think De Ligt is becoming an Amrabat. He got offers from Liverpool, he got offers from, I think, Atletico Madrid, he got offers from a number of clubs and he rejected them and took it to deadline day to move to United. Now, hopefully De Ligt does not go all the way to deadline day because obviously we're going to have 3 Premier League games before deadline day, and with Lenny Yoro injured, we kind of need De Ligt in ASAP. But the feeling is that De Ligt knows that Man United are going to buy him, and that's why he's rejecting other clubs. De Ligt wants to leave Bayern. Bayern want to sell De Ligt. Bayern want to bring in Tar. And De Ligt has had Champions League clubs go for him, but he's rejected them. Even though United have been taking their time and the deal for Matthias De Ligt has almost stalled this last month, De Ligt is rejecting other offers because he's very confident. De Ligt is very confident he will be a Man United player. He's very confident it's going to progress. He's going to be a Man United player. I think with Ugarte, with us now being able to get Ugarte on loan, I think we'll press ahead with De Ligt. I think there's a domino effect with us being able to get Ugarte on loan, saving a bit of funds, to then us buying De Ligt. I think McTominay going, Ugarte loan, Matthias De Ligt in. I think there's a domino effect. I think generally the last 2 weeks have been quiet. The last 2 weeks have been, rehashing the same stories and saying the same thing, and it can feel a little bit repetitive. And I've seen people saying, is this just the same news? And I'm just reporting what other people are saying, and it has felt repetitive. It has felt a little bit annoying the last 2 weeks, the news, the stories going about. But when you look at the news, when you look at the stories going about, when you look at everything that has been happening, you realise that actually there's going to be a big domino effect. When Wan-Bissaka goes, Mazraoui comes in. McTominay could be about to go, but Ugarte is going to come in on loan, which means there's funds there from a sale, which can then go on De Ligt. So then all of a sudden, it might have been slow for 2 weeks, but we might see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 deals happening in De Ligt, Ugarte, McTominay, Mazraoui, and Wan-Bissaka at once. And I think that's where it's exciting, and that's where we know that it feels like things are going to happen. I think there could be some real progress and some real excitement there as well. Guys, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. If you've just joined, confirmation is coming in that PSG will accept a loan deal from Manchester United for Ugarte. PSG are very willing to do that, and I think that is a big boost to Manchester United because I think that frees up essentially another £30 million to invest elsewhere. Now, there is rumours of us investing in Ivan Toney. There is rumours of us investing in a second centre-back, and the United Muppeteers have said it's not necessarily over as well for Jared Ramthwaite, and United could even sign 3 centre-backs, which is the goal, but I do think that depends on Lindelof going. Now, apparently Lindelof is in talks with Inter Milan, interestingly. There's a report that's come out today that Lindelof is in talks with Inter Milan. Don't see him as an Inter Milan kind of player, but that could be one to keep an eye on. Now, Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka did play, and I thought, is that a risk because you're trying to sell them? Same with McTominay. But I guess, again, it could be like a negotiation tactic. We'll play these players even though, we're sort of trying to sell them because we don't want to look like we're desperate to sell them to maybe get more money. Now, it is deep down believed that United want to sell Sancho and they think they can get 35 to 40 million. They want to sell McTominay. They want to sell Wan-Bissaka. They want to sell Lindelof. They'd be open to selling Maguire, but he's probably not going to go. They'd be open to selling Anthony. He's probably not going to go. They're open to selling Casemiro, but he's not going to go. And Casemiro did look a lot better in the preseason game yesterday, and I'll give you some details on that preseason game yesterday. Amad Diallo. That's all you need to know. He's so good. But we'll give you some updates on that game later. But there is a feeling there could be some movement there as well. Potentially Sancho, obviously Pellistri, Mesbury exits and talks and potentially close as well. Will Bruno De Ligt, Martinez, Garnacho, Shaw, Romano all be ready for the Man City game? Potentially, but I think because they've not had a pre-season or time to warm up, I'm not sure if they'll be thrown in the deep end. I mean, Bruno Fernandes will probably be chucked in because Bruno Fernandes is Bruno. And with Højlund set to miss that game, maybe Xerxes chucked in, but it's very, very rare that they'd be chucked in. But I think in regards to the Manchester City game, it would be maybe like a stronger squad. If I was going to predict our lineup for the Manchester City game, I would say De Ligt because I think Wan-Bissaka will be gone by then. I would say Luke Shaw because he did play in the Euros. I would probably say Maguire and Martinez play because Lindelof will be gone, and you just don't know if you're going to get De Ligt in time. I would probably say in midfield, if I'm going to be honest, it will be Casemiro. I think he will start that game because he's had the pre-season, Mount and Bruno. I think it will be Casemiro, Mount and Bruno. I don't think he'll want to rush Kobe back in, which I don't know if that's going to 100% work, but I think it could be that against City, which I think Casemiro would struggle against City. I think it will be Ahmed on the right. I think it will be Rashford on the left, and I think it will be Sancho false nine if he's not sold. I think it will be Sancho false nine. I think the front three we saw yesterday will play versus City. I think Garnacho will come off the bench and Xerxes will come off the bench. If I was going to guess, but obviously this is just a big guess as well. We've got other games between that and that City game now as well. Casemiro's passing was quite good, similar to his first season. Was like, yeah, I'd say Casemiro, that these preseason games have been poor, but last night I was really impressed with Casemiro's performance. He looked better, and I think us knowing that there's like a 90% chance that Casemiro is staying now, it's really good to see that hopefully we're just going to get the best out of him and we can get him back onto top form. Why did Collier and Mount not start the last game? Was it just managing minutes? I think so. I think as well you've got to remember this. When McTominay and Eriksen are playing with the second team, the academy lads in the second half, it's a lot harder for McTominay and Eriksen to get a lot of the ball because they're playing with worse players around them. And I think the way Ten Hag sees it is Mount and Collier started the last game, but McTominay and Eriksen, if we don't sell them, are going to be regulars for us next season. So we need to play them with the first team to get some proper minutes in their legs so they can get used to playing with the first team. I think you'll see Mount and Collier start the next game. Although we played really well, I think you'll see Mount and Collier start versus Liverpool. And I think it's just about getting those sort of minutes in the legs, exactly. I think it's just about managing it well. And I think that's absolutely fine if I was going to be honest as well. Should I get back into the news? Should I get back into the stories? Because we do have some updates on the likes of Ivan Toney. What is my favourite club in Spain? My favourite club in Spain is Malaga. De Ligt, Mazraoui, Ugarte. I reckon we'll sign all three. I think we'll get De Ligt, I think we'll get Mazraoui, I think we'll get Ugarte, and I think we're going to get a full surprise signing at the end of the window that could improve the defence or improve the midfield, or potentially if Sandro Pelistri goes, improves the attack. I think we're going to sign 4 more players, and I'm quite confident of that as well. The James from the Muppeteer said Brantford's not dead, he's preferred over De Ligt. Exactly, we're actually going to get into that story in a second as well. I think Erik Ten Hag is also throwing players into different situations. Ollie's backline into his first half, not really in the season plan. Exactly. It's about getting minutes in the leg and probably just avoiding injuries. I think he took those 2 players off particularly early because he does not want another centre-back injury. So what has been said on the latest Manchester United news, transfers, updates happening here, because there has been a few stories in regards to Manchester United's transfer plans coming out, and one is about Ivan Toney. And I've always said this, if anything happens for Ivan Toney, it will happen incredibly late into the window. If anything does happen in regards to Ivan Toney to Manchester United, it's going to be a very late deal. It's going to be a very late signing because he's got 1 year left on his deal and Brentford will not want to lose him for free. But Brentford are testing the waters and asking for quite a large sum for Ivan Toney. Now, no one is paying the sum that Brentford want for Ivan Toney, which now puts Brentford in a position where they know that they're probably going to have to sell Ivan Toney for 35 to 40 million pounds. Now, if you want my honest opinion, I think he's going to go to Arsenal or Tottenham. I think he's going to stay in London. But you never know. He's a Liverpool fan. He could go to Liverpool. He could go to United. I think he's going to go to a big Premier League club, but I think there's 4 clubs that will be open to him coming in. And it just depends where he wants to go. He could even go to Chelsea, but I think with the mess they're in. You know what's interesting is Conor Gallagher's rejected a deal to stay at Chelsea, and I thought he was proper Chelsea. I thought he was Chelsea through and through. But I do think that this Ivan Toney news is one to watch at the end of the window. I don't think we're going to get Ivan Toney, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, but I think that this is one to watch at the end of the season. Erik Ten Hag wants another attacker with Brentford's Ivan Toney an option because Højlund's injured and Xerxes is the only striker. But at the end of the day, Højlund will be back, Wheatley's there, Obi Martin's there. For me, if we're going to sign an attacker, I want someone that can play left wing or right wing. I don't want someone that is just a striker. If we're going to sign an attacker, I want someone that can play left wing, can play right wing. I would want a Gakpo type player. If we were going to sign an attacker, and I look at the profile right now, I'd say Cody Gakpo can play centre forward, can play left, can play right. Versatility there. I don't potentially want someone that's just a striker because I think Obi Martin, Wheatley, Højlund, Xerxes. Yes, Højlund seems to be a bit injury prone, like little injuries, but no. All right, so let's get into some more stories on De Ligt, Wan-Bissaka, and then I want to get into what the Muppeteers have said because the Muppeteers have given some interesting updates on United. A centre mid upgrade and another centre back have to be sorted next, as Alex, and I completely agree. For me, if I was going to be honest, I did my match review. I said De Ligt and Fofana for me. I like Ugarte and Fofana and De Ligt. If I could choose the next 3 signings, Ugarte, Fofana, De Ligt. Realistic, I don't think we're going to get Subamende. Ugarte, Fofana, De Ligt. And then I would love Pedro Neto, but with our injuries and his injuries, I think that is a that's a massive red flag. But let's dive into this story. Let's dive into this news update coming in here. Matthias De Ligt and Bayern Munich have received approaches from several clubs asking about his availability, but De Ligt has made it clear that he only wants to move to Manchester United. West Ham and Manchester United both want the Wan-Bissaka deal agreed by this weekend. Now, I do think we're going to get some movement in the next... Honestly, I think we could get here we go today for Wan-Bissaka. West Ham have got the Somerville here we go over the line. I think we could get here we go today for Wan-Bissaka. I'm not saying that we will, but I think, if we're sitting here in a week's time and there's not been a here we go for Wan-Bissaka or Mazraoui, I'd be quite surprised. I feel like that's going to happen. I feel like that deal's going to happen. I think we'll probably get here we go in the next week. But I guess you just don't know with Manchester United and all of that at the moment. I do think that De Ligt will be a Man United player. I think Euro being out for potentially 3 months now being reported, but another source says 2 months, another source says 6 weeks. But I think with Euro looking like he's going to be out for 2 to 3 months, United will press ahead with that De Ligt signing, and I think that De Ligt could really move. I think especially now we've got confirmation that PSG will accept the loan deal for Ugarte, and we can then save about 30 million there. I do think that De Ligt will go. Maybe it's resting on McTominay being sold, Fulham up in their bid, Wan-Bissaka being sold, Lindelof being sold, but as said, I think some big movement is going to happen, and some big movement will happen soon. But yeah, I do think we need a lot of upgrades as well. We don't need 3 striker options. City do not even have that kind of crazy depth exactly. If we're going to bring in another attacker, it should be a winger. Pellistri out, Sancho out, maybe you bring in another attacker, but it's not the end of the world. For me, I would bring in Fofana, Ugarte, and De Ligt as realistic signings. So Rashford did come off injured in the last game, and so did Antony. But Rashford was walking around absolutely fine after the game, saying thanks to the fans and stuff. And the fans gave Rashford really good support, which is nice to see because he's had a lot of people on his back lately, but he's been really good and really electric this pre-season. I think Rashford will be okay. He was walking around absolutely fine at full time, but you just never know. Antony came on for like 20 minutes and then came off, and then he walked down the tunnel. Whether he's annoyed he came off and had a big strop, or whether he's injured, I'm assuming the second that he's injured. Wait and see. Even players like Antony that I don't really want in the starting 11, them being injured is still a massive blow because that's someone that can come off the bench and that is just another injury. Guys, I am going to get into news. I am going to get into stories. I've got a few interesting things to touch upon. I do want to get into what the Muppeteers have said on Jared Branthwaite and Ashworth's big plan. I think there's a really exciting update coming in from the Muppeteers just now. But I will say this. I want to dive into my match review because I know a lot of you didn't stay up and watch the match, and I cannot blame you. It was late, and I was struggling a little bit, but the first half was good. So here is everything you need to know about the match, and I did do a match reaction on it if you want more detail. Great signs for Manchester United despite key players missing. When I say great signs, I'm talking about the first half with the strong side, not the second half. Ahmad, man of the match, great goal, intelligent movement, gliding past opponents and causing trouble whenever he got the ball, created so many chances, he must start at right wing. Ahmad was fantastic. Goal, assist, wins the penalty, plays McTominay through, big chance created. Unbelievable. Great attacking play from United. Could have scored 4 or 5 in that first half. Rashford was fantastic. He got a goal, he got an assist, he was playing fearlessly again. He was fouled many times, including a clear penalty. He won. When I say clear penalty, he won. He didn't win the penalty, but he should have won a penalty. It was a clear penalty. Rashford was fouled and he should have got a penalty. He didn't win that. Ahmad won the penalty. Casemiro looked a lot better and Sancho looked well in the false 9 role. I thought Casemiro looked better. I thought Sancho looked good in the false 9 role. I thought Rashford combined well with Amos and Sancho. Harry Amos was very good going forward, technically brilliant, but there's room for improvement defensively. But for 17, he's fantastic. Manchester United played really good attacking football with good pressing and energy off the ball, showing a real desire to attack and make things happen. There were some brilliant patterns of play and you could see a style developing. You could see maybe the work that Ruud van Nistelrooy was doing with the players developing. However, this is the problem. The backups are a massive drop-off from the first team and we clearly need more squad depth. With a few signings, we'll have a strong squad with a solid base to build on. We just have to hope for more luck. I do think out of the second half, youth players that came on, Toby Collier definitely looks a level ahead. Fofana and De Ligt signings would be ideal right now. Hopefully Mazraoui gets over the line. Defensively, room for improvement, but key players were missing. That the defending was pretty poor. I thought we looked better from set pieces. I thought the front line did well, and I actually think that Xerxes, Ahmad and Rashford could cook. There's a really good balance there. The ref was shocking, but that is what you need to know about the pre-season game if you missed it as well. The referees for pre-season have been shite. Well, they're just preparing us for the Premier League properly. They're not. Do you know what they think? Well, the Premier League refs are so bad. The Premier League refs are the worst of the worst. So you know what? Let's prepare them for pre-season. Let's prepare them for pre-season by also being equally as bad as the Premier League refs, because I have to admit, that reffing display was probably one of the worst reffing displays I've ever seen. Honestly, that reffing display from from that ref is one of the worst ever reffing displays I've seen. It was absolutely awful, wasn't it? Absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. But we're going to get back into the news. We're going to get back into the stories because there's lots of news and stories coming about as well. I don't know if you can rewatch the game on MUTV, but I assume you can as well. It was Ollie's backline in the first half, then Amas and a lot of players on holiday. Yeah, I mean, look, the centre-backs that did play in that game are very unlikely to be heavily involved for Manchester United next season. Lindelof will probably be sold, and Maguire's going to be probably fourth choice if we get De Ligt in. So while it wasn't the best, and I don't actually think Maguire had a bad game, I just think it was defence falling asleep, and I think Tom Heaton was most at fault for the goal. It was fine as well. And my penalty was a bit soft. They seemed to take it out on us the rest of the match. Yeah, the Rashford one was 100% a penalty as well. I can't believe Americans stay up that late to watch Man United play. You really have to be committed. Well, it's not so much Americans, it's more those in Asia, because 8 o'clock kickoff in America, if you're in New York, it's like 3 p.m. If you're in LA, it's like midday. Like Americans, if we have like a 12:30 kickoff, have to stay up late. 3 o'clock maybe if you're in LA, but I think it's the Asians I feel sorry for. If you're in like Thailand, Vietnam, China, Australia, I think that's when you're really screwed over. But yeah, I mean, the fact that people do it all the time, it's difficult. It is really difficult, especially when you've got to make a video on the match after and you're like, I just want to go to bed. But look, it's only for a couple of weeks as well. In Asia, it was 10 a.m, so it was quite good for there. Because I remember with our Asian pre-season tour, I was just doing 11, 10 a.m. watch-alongs. That was fine. I don't do watch-alongs at 3 in the morning. I cannot do watch-alongs at 3 in the morning. But yeah, let's dive into some more news. Let's dive into some stories. So the Muppeteer said this. Dan Ashworth is a guy Manchester United see forming and building the club, putting it essentially in the image that he sees it. So Dan Ashworth is given the reins to control the sports science department, the medical department, the recruitment department, the youth department, and bringing all those chains and areas together into one to build a great Manchester United first team, youth team, women's team, which is brilliant. It was said, Ineos want Dan Ashworth to run things in the club, recruitment, data science, coaches, managers, etc. Given the reins, he's the genius. Fair enough. There was some kind of injury already when Euro did medicals, but it was nothing major, and they had to stop the transfer. So apparently Euro already had a few issues, but it wasn't major. More talks about Ugarte next week or so we know PSG will agree a loan deal for Ugarte. They're saying talks next week. They also said there's a good chance McTominay leaves. 30 million should be enough, but it still needs to be seen if he's interested in the move. So what the Muppeteers are saying is there's a good chance McTominay will leave. They expect to get 30 million bids for him. It just remains whether McTominay's interested in the move. He's not going to be a regular starter under Ten Hag, and he'll know that. But he does love Manchester United, and he can always play a regular amount of games for us. It was also said that James wouldn't be surprised if we try for Braithwaite again, maybe one more 55 million take it or leave it bid for Braithwaite. I think if a sale for McTominay happens, we'll make a bid for Braithwaite before we go for De Ligt. I think if a sale for McTominay happens, I do think we could make that last take it or leave it bid for Braithwaite at 55 million. They don't accept it. Bish bash bosh, get De Ligt in. You keep Braithwaite. He's not happy. That's your problem, Everton. You've signed your replacement for Braithwaite, but we're not caving. And I think, us not signing Braithwaite isn't a bad thing, because everyone knew that Braithwaite was our number one priority target. Everyone knew that we liked Braithwaite. And you know what? It was more of a chance of everyone knew we wanted him. Everton knew it was Man United, and we paid 80 million for Maguire. Everton started taking the nick. I think if every club watches that we walked away from Braithwaite and got Euro and De Ligt instead, because even though Braithwaite was our first choice because they asked for too much, that's a really good statement from Ineos to say, look, things are changing in United. We're not just going to overpay like we used to. We're trying to be different at the moment as well, which I think is a good message to bring as well. How good is Braithwaite? I think Braithwaite is good, and I think with Braithwaite, what people forget is you've got someone that can play left centre-back, you've got someone that can play right centre-back, you've got someone that can really bring a lot to Manchester United and would be a really good addition. Guys, please do hit that like button if you have not already, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. We're on 87,386 subscribers. We're 14 subscribers away from 87.4k, so please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really helps the channel on the road to 100,000 subscribers. 14 away from 87.4k, on the road to 100,000 subscribers. So please do go ahead and subscribe if you're new as well. We've got over 700 people watching, so keep dropping the likes, keep subscribing, always much appreciated. as well. We could always try for Braithwaite next season. I think exactly if need be. We just need another centre-back. Can't drag out Braithwaite. I think the fact that De Ligt wants the move, De Ligt has won the league in 3 different leagues. You know he's a top centre-back. He's going to be available for about £40 million and he's rejecting other clubs for us. Just go and get De Ligt at the end of the day. I know Braithwaite can cover left centre-back and right centre-back, but just go and get De Ligt done at the end of the day. Go and get De Ligt sorted. I think that's exactly what Manchester United need to do. Get De Ligt done. Get De Ligt sorted. Bish, bash, bosh. There you go. That's what I think. That's what I think we should do. That's what I hope we do. Do I think we'll do it? Who knows? PSG accept a loan deal for Ugarte. Apparently, it's news coming in that PSG will agree to a loan deal for Manuel Ugarte. So a big positive update coming in there. There is news coming on that Harry Amas could play more, and Manchester United have officially confirmed. No, they haven't. That's fake news. I almost fell for some fake news. It said I nearly fell for some fake news there. I'm glad I did not read that out. Apparently, Marcus Rashford has suffered a knock. Marcus Rashford has suffered a knock, but Manchester United do not expect him to be out for long as well. I tell you what, America's cursed. Let's go back to Asia next preseason. America seems to be absolutely cursed for us at the moment as well. Guys, please do continue to hit that like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Hi, I joined late. Is there a here we go on Ugarte? No, not a here we go. We have to make an actual official offer, but it has been said on Ugarte that PSG are now willing to accept a paid loan deal for Manuel Ugarte with a high option to buy included. PSG will accept a loan deal for Manuel Ugarte, and United are expected to make a loan offer for Manuel Ugarte next week. So at the end of the day, with Manuel Ugarte, it's very much the sense of we want him. PSG have said, look, you can have him on loan. Look, we'll do a loan deal for Manuel Ugarte. So there's an expectation that there will be an agreement between Manchester United and PSG, within the next week for Manuel Ugarte. If PSG want to do a loan deal, Man United will make a loan offer, and PSG apparently will accept that. And considering Ugarte's already agreed terms to join United, and considering Ugarte and Manchester United already have agreements there, I would highly predict that Ugarte will be a Manchester United player as well. De Ligt can also play left and right centre-back if needed. Yeah, Braithwaite's definitely more two-footed, but De Ligt can play both. We definitely need more quality on the bench. I mean, squad depth is definitely an issue that Manchester United have and Manchester United struggle with, but it is what it is. But look, listen, people, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest United news. I'm going to round up the show here, but thank you everyone for watching today's live show. Please do subscribe if you're new. Go ahead and vote Alice in the Football Content Awards. I'll be back around 5 o'clock today. See you then. Bye.